This episode of Another Great Day is brought to you by Stairs, working out and moving up. It's Wednesday, November 29th, 2023. I'm Aaron, and this is my beloved stair journeying co-host, Chris. You know why I say that, Chris? Because you have stairs.
I have stairs in my house.
I do not.
This is correct.
The biggest step I have is that tiny little step from like the driveway to my garage area.
Have you ever thought about this? You can, in the morning, you go to work, you go to school. Mm-hmm. I can get out of my bed.
Like you're cleaning your gutters. Maybe you're at the gym or at Kroger.
No.
One of the many circumstances.
This is specific to computers.
Oh, okay.
Commuters, not computers.
Got it.
Commuting humans.
Okay.
Who go from their home to another place every day. I can walk to the bathroom, which is like 15 steps.
Okay.
Walk downstairs, which is like 30 more steps.
Okay.
And if I was alone, I would just like grab something and leave, which is like a total of 100 steps.
Yeah.
And then I'm in my car, and then I could travel 30 miles is what I used to do.
With no steps.
No steps.
Yeah, because you're not a Flintstone.
And then
you're not pedaling yourself
And then
there.
by the time I got to work, it was like I walked 100 more steps and I'm in the office.
Yeah,
It is so weird to me to think that it took 200 steps to go 30 miles.
Yeah, that is interesting because the pioneers did not have that experience.
No, they had to actually use that PED.
Yes, there was a broken wagon wheel that needed to be fixed. They had to float a river, shoot some snakes. I played the Oregon Trail. I know how this goes. Well, welcome back. Speaking of the Oregon Trail, welcome back to Another Great Day, the podcast inspired by Oregon Trail. And if you know what we're talking about, that means you were born in the 80s and you experienced that game on a floppy disk at some point.
That game did have interaction, creativity,
and conversation because you were probably talking to your friend about how cool this game was.
About the names you named your people.
Yes, it was either that or Bucky O'Hare.
I taught elementary school computer class, and we did Oregon Trail one day just to show them what it was.
No way.
And I named like the second son Tennis.
Tennis, the game?
The game, like tennis ball, I think, or something like that. And they were like, "This is ridiculous, Mr. Taylor."
Oh my goodness gracious.
It was fun.
Those kids are blessed to have you. Well, like I said, welcome back to Another Great Day. As Chris alluded to, the podcast is designed to encourage interaction, creativity, and conversation. And if you're tuning in on video, hello to everybody. A nice high five to you. All right, well, welcome to today's show. It is Wednesday, which means it is What Is It You'd Say You Do Around Here Wednesday. And today's special guest is our good friend, Ryan Pauly, who has an interesting thing to say. Chris, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's do it. Take it away, Ryan.
My name is Ryan Pauly, and I am a film and commercial director, and more recently, a WGA screenwriter. And so I develop and write feature films and directed a lot of short films and commercials for brands and agencies. And hopefully here soon we'll be directing my first feature. If I were to explain it to a 5-year-old, I would say I make videos for the internet and occasionally for TV or movie theaters. What does it smell like? It smells like BO and coffee shops and sweet treats because I'm always eating candy and sweet things.
Awesome. Thank you, Ryan Pauly. Hey, and shout out to him. He did that on the fly for me at like within 1 hour's request. So thank you, Ryan Pauly.
I think that's probably his whole life. He's probably that kind of guy who always gets things done immediately.
Well, I'll tell you
I
what.
have no idea about Ryan.
He's one of my favorite people. We go back a long way. So thank you, Ryan. Shout out to you, my friend. All right. Well, that'll bring us to this day in history. Chris, the year was 1877.
1877.
There was a sun shining, a moon setting, birds were crowing, grass was growing, waves were crashing upon a beach.
Well, it was in November in the United States.
But something was happening in Fort Myers, Florida, I bet.
Is this where it was?
Well, I know his lab was in Fort Myers, Florida, because that's
Oh.
where Denise's grandparents lived, and we would go by the
Who is this?
Thomas Edison Museum.
Thomas Edison?
Yes, Thomas Edison, my favorite president.
He made
He wasn't a president.
the his legacy now lives on as LED light bulbs.
Thank you, Tom. Old Tommy Ed, as we called him. So what happened in 1877, Chris?
He, I read this 8 days before this, had announced he had created a new thing that could record sound.
What?
And then on this date, November 29th, he demonstrated it to the world that it could work. He could take a sound and put it. It was kind of a magical thing, really, at the time.
Honestly, this really does sound amazing. I don't know how he figured this out.
He
took a
cylinder,
piece
right?
of matter.
Yeah, a piece of metal of some sort.
And grooved it in such a way with a needle.
Yeah, it's
that
very odd.
He could run the needle at a certain speed
So-
around the circumference of this thing.
The first ones were cylinders.
They were cylinders?
Yeah, they were like tubes.
I didn't know this.
Yeah,
I didn't know
think
the
the original-
phonograph was a cylinder?
So they were not pretty soon after that.
Okay.
Because those were made of a very delicate material.
Wow.
And I think when you press records, the first time they record it, it's very delicate still.
Wow.
And then they put a mold, and then they make it much sturdier with the vinyl.
And for audiophiles, people still say that phonographs or vinyl is the most pure way to enjoy music, truly, because it's lossless.
Oh, yeah,
and
because
it's
it's
all because a needle's running across some weird grooves in the wave patterns
yeah,
on a
it's-
device. How do people even invent these things, people?
You go down a long trail of curiosity.
Yes, and you have a lot of interaction and conversation, probably. Kind of
And-
like this podcast.
And potentially a monetary incentive.
Oh, let's go, Thomas Edison. All right, Chris. Anything else on that one?
I think that's all we got.
All right, well, that'll do it for this day in history. All right, you hear that sound? You know what that means, Chris?
Questions.
It means it's time
Questions.
for the question.
Questions.
Hi, Chris. Imagine there was no music in the world.
Oh,
What would be
It's
different?
a serious question.
Oh, sorry.
It's tough.
Harry Carey, step aside.
This is a tough
I'm
question.
sorry, Will Ferrell is Harry Carey, step aside.
That's true.
Chris, I have a serious question to ask you. Imagine, in fact, pause the music. Sam, Sam, hold on, Sam. Imagine there was no music in the world. You hear that noise right now? Yeah. What would be different?
Oof.
What would you hear? Now pause the show and have a very serious discussion about it.
I just thought it would be interesting.
All right, so Chris, imagine there was no music in the world. None. No phonograph. Thomas Edison didn't bless us with a cylinder
true.
or circular recording
be
of
different?
Beethoven's.
I'm just trying to imagine movies without sound. Have you ever seen these videos on the internet where they take a scene that has music and then they mute the music and they redub over just sound effects?
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen those?
Yes.
They're pretty funny.
I've seen an
normally.
Instagram video of like Beyonce's All the Single Ladies music video, but it was
is
Mario music instead, and it changes the entire tone of the video.
So there's one I saw, and this is really dating. This is just for me. This is not for kids particularly. But Spider-Man 3, where Tobey Maguire goes emo
I love
and
it.
dances in the street.
Yes.
There's a version of it where it's just him like moving it.
So cringe. Oh, no.
like him like so. And you're supposed to be hearing this music the whole
It's
time.
not cool at all.
And it makes
It's like,
no sense.
You can't tell by the way I use my walk. There's none of that.
There's none of it.
No.
It's just
It's very dull.
music. This is an interesting thought here. Music, I've been told, is decoration on time.
Interesting. Decoration on time.
Which some people musicians find it kind of offensive. They're like, well, it's not, it's more than decoration. It's a message of some sort. But a lot of people, especially I have several friends who will have music on all the time.
I'm that friend.
And it's just there.
That's me. I'm one of them.
And it's just constantly. And it's like, we're decorating time.
I was
with
literally
sounds.
walking downstairs from work today and I had headphones in playing lo-fi music, chill hop. And I was like, yeah. This is good.
So if you didn't have it on,
it would just look like me very lonely walking down like an empty staircase.
you would have heard like your feet stepping in the stairwell and the reverberations.
Yeah,
and
no, the
maybe
janitor down at like
somebody
the first
talking.
floor just gave me a thumbs up as I walked down. It wasn't as cool as I thought it would be.
So we're going to take you. We're going to humble you right now,
no.
Aaron. That's right.
All right.
Potentially in that moment, you could have had a conversation with the person. At least said hello.
I did say hi. I waved.
I'm not trying to I don't know, make you feel bad, but
I did the minimum. I did one of these. Hi.
but it's interesting.
Well, so pause the show, like I said, and discuss it amongst yourselves. What would change if there was no music in your lives? Think video games, think movies, think just what you work out to when you go running, when you're at Kroger, cleaning the gutters. How would you listen to us right now? All right. Well, great talk today, Chris. I think that's pretty fun and interesting. Well, let's take a quick break and check in with our favorite dad joke correspondent on location, Mr. Wes McFall. Primates.
That's bananas.
We'll be right back. And speaking of fruit, Chris, as we go from a dad joke, we take a tasty bite out of that sweet dad joke into the nutritional valley of the word of wisdom.
Like the little bars, Nature Valley? Like this?
It's a granola bar.
Granola bar.
Filled with wisdom. Yep. Welcome to today's word of wisdom. Today's word of wisdom, listeners, will come to us from Proverbs chapter 25, verse 26. Take it away, Chris.
And this is the NLT version. If the godly give in to the wicked, it is like polluting a fountain or muddying a spring.
Wow, that paints a picture. The Amplified Version says, like a muddied fountain and a polluted spring is a righteous man who yields and compromises his integrity before the wicked. So you picture a beautiful, clean fountain. You ever seen a fountain that's really nice? Maybe it's water spraying everywhere. I'm thinking of Europe, where you see really intricate fountains. Imagine taking a big old clump of dirt and just throwing it in there.
At the camp we go to in France, there's a fountain in the middle of the camp. Mountain water, spring fed.
I bet it's awesome.
And it used to always be pouring until there was a little bit of a shortage, and now they have a spigot. But it's always pouring this water, and people after a big hike would get into it. It's freezing cold, like a polar plunge.
Whoa!
And they would get in the fountain, and because it was so hot, and they went on a 2-3 day hike, and they get all cleaned up. But then the water in the fountain would look like hiking people had been in here.
It'd be a little sullied,
It'd be
right?
a little not as good.
So just like this.
Yeah.
So you're pure when you keep your integrity, but once you compromise your integrity, you're muddy. I always think of that thought of like a clear glass of water with one little ink, like a little eyedropper full of ink. It muddies up the entire glass. You can't take that one droplet out. It's just one little tiny droplet, but one little compromise, it really messes up the whole glass. So anyways, all right. Well, Chris, let's hit the music and call it a day. Our mission here on Another Great Day podcast is to encourage interaction, creativity, and conversation.
Thank you for tuning in. And if you like this at all, please take a minute, rate, review, and do all those things on the social medias and the apps.
Absolutely. Smash that like button. Help us get some good old-fashioned fun out into the internet. And if you are looking for good vibes and good entertainment and cleanness, that's what we're doing here. So help us beat the internet. That's been our goal now for a week and a half.
Most importantly, we hope you make it
another
great
day.